Hi, I'm DaGrosa from Bright Path Wellness. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a very simple bone broth recipe. We speak a lot about bone broth in our office to patients who come in to understand a little bit more about nutrition and good health and eating practices. Bones are phenomenal, especially if you get grass-fed, of course, marrow bones for your base for your soup. These are about 2 pounds or so of marrow bones. I got this recipe actually from the Weston Price Foundation. Wonderful organization. I highly recommend that you check it out. Sally Fallon has a really nice book out, Nourishing Traditions, and she talks a lot about bone broth in her book actually. So this is what I did. I have, again, about 2 pounds or so of grass-fed bones. I first take them raw. These are cooked, and I place them on a baking sheet. I sprinkle a little bit of Celtic salt, again, unrefined salt. You can use Himalayan, real salt, whatever brand that you particularly like. Again, it's not just salt, it has trace minerals in it. It doesn't have aluminum or fillers or anything like that, like the regular salt from the store. So I sprinkle the marrow bones with that. I cook them at about 350 for probably about 40 minutes or so. And then this is what they look like when they're done. They might stick a little bit to the baking sheet, just kind of wiggle them loose. Of course, if they're right out of the oven, you're gonna wanna use a hot mitt. And this is what they look like inside. Some of them have rather wide openings. Again, it's the marrow from the bone. And I usually just take a little tool here and take out the marrow and place it in a bowl. And if you're not used to doing this, it might seem like a little different at first. The texture might seem a little different than you've had before, but it's actually fabulous. So I take it all out, and these are lovely. These have quite a lot of marrow. We actually really enjoy this marrow. This is what it looks like here. We love this. When it's hot like this, we place it on a flat belly cracker, like this one here, which are flaxseed crackers. So we don't eat gluten in our household here. So on a nice flaxseed cracker, it's gorgeous. We also keep this for another day and mix this into cooked vegetables. It's beautiful. So if you can think that this is how much I got out of one bone, I'm going to be getting actually quite a lot out of here. So I always keep this, again, for other uses, like into the veggies. Beautifully, beautifully heavy in minerals. Gorgeous for recovery if you've had any kind of illness and this type of thing, or just really to keep yourself nice and strong. So I do this first. Then after that, I just take all of the bones and place them in a big pot. So I would do that again with all of the bones. And then I would fill this pot with purified water. You don't want tap water. Tap water typically has a lot of heavy metals, chlorine, things that we really don't need in our system. So make sure you've got really good quality water, or buy bottled water if you need to. Into this pot, I pour about a half a cup of organic raw apple cider vinegar. Why? Because apple cider vinegar will then pull the calcium and other minerals out of the bone and leave that in the broth. So again, you have a mineral-rich broth. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Even my patients who have osteoporosis, it's something I highly recommend. When you start this on the stove, you're going to want to bring it to a boil and then instantly just reduce it and simmer it. Simmer it for a very long time. You can do that even up to 72 hours if you want. As the water's reducing, add more water as needed. And you can add carrots, onions, celery, garlic if you desire, other spices. That adds also other minerals to the broth. And then once you're done, you can strain that all out. Once you're done, it might look a little different. It can be brown, kind of like with fat globules and things like that. But once you strain that out, put it in the refrigerator, let all the excess fat come to the top. You can always skim that off. Oh, and another really important thing, as it is simmering, you're gonna see just impurities come to the surface, like you do with other soups if you're making it from bones. You're gonna always wanna take a spoon and skim that off and discard that. That's not something that you're gonna want in your broth. Again, because those are impurities. So just keep skimming that off periodically. And after about 72 hours, or I do it shorter, I usually do it for about 24 hours. You just take out the bones, strain out all of the vegetables. Usually by then they're pretty much done. So if I make a soup from the broth, I add extra vegetables and start with fresh ones. You can also use it just as is, and again, a pinch of Celtic salt, and have a little cup of that broth prior to eating. It's wonderful to set the stage for digestion, and again, extremely, extremely healing. So this is something I highly encourage you to try. You can also use, different forms of bones. You can use even a whole chicken that is, of course, organic, no hormones. And again, you're going to want to add the apple cider vinegar, and you can also add the veggies, and the same thing. But with the chicken, you're probably just going to want to simmer it until the meat is cooked. Then you can take the meat out, take the meat off the bones, place the bones back in, and the skin back in. And again, you can simmer that, for even, I usually do that for about 12 hours. And strain it all out, and that gives you such a gelatinous, rich, gorgeous broth. We also use this with my patients who have tremendous amount of GI issues. It's extremely healing, and sometimes when they come in, they're in a pretty rough state. Sometimes this is the only thing that they're able to consume, and we start to bring them back to health. So for today, again, this is our wonderful basic bone broth. I highly encourage that you do this. And even if you just start with, once a month, you'll get to the point where you just love this, and you're going to want to do bigger and bigger batches. Freeze it, and you'll have it for whenever you want throughout the year. All right, thank you. Enjoy.